Welcome in, Harbor Rock fans, to yet another parking lot preview. We are just a couple hours away and 9 innings from the halfway point in the Cape Cod Baseball League regular season. The Hyannis Harbor Hawks taking on the Bourne Braves tonight at 6 p.m. at McKeon Park. Fellas, it's a big game for everybody. Hyannis trying to cross that halfway point with the 10th win in their season. Bourne, trying to get back to 500 with that tie, obviously. Really trying to kind of move their season in the right direction to head down to the All-Star break and through the finale. Tim, the last two times these teams played, it was you and me covering it. What do you remember from that game?
Well, it was an 8-5 win for the Harbor Hawks. They got off to a hot start in that first inning, 3 runs, and that's something that's been important to this offense all season for Hyannis, is their ability to start early. When they're ahead, they feel good, and they're going to want to do that again here against Bourne, who I understand is having a little bit of mix-ups with their pitching roster right now.
I can definitely imagine Bourne would have some mix-ups with their pitching roster. We're actually going to see a two-way player on the mound today in Noah Franco. He plays first base, has had some really good at-bats for the Bourne Braves this season. 3 walks, 4 RBIs on the season. Hasn't really been in there too much, but he is now coming in as, I think, in my kind of perspective of things, an opener. So I think we'll talk about him in a minute here. Mike, I do want to hop over to Hyannis because I know we have a lot on the guy they're throwing on the mound, and I'd love to kind of give a little segment to him especially. What's Hyannis doing?
Yeah, so the Harbor Hawks, we got Thomas Crabtree on the mound tonight. This is going to be his 3rd start of the summer. Recently committed to Southern Miss in the transfer portal. He's pitched 6 2/3 scoreless innings for the Hawks so far. Has a 0.9 whip. His last start was a 2-2 tie on July 1st against Harwich. Pitched 4 scoreless innings, struck out 5, allowed just 1 hit and 2 walks. He really felt he's been working on a cutter this summer with the Harbor Hawks. That's something he told me after the game. He really likes the way his cutter played in that game. I think we're going to see him use that again today as a little bit more of an out pitch. He's had a little more time to work on it. To complement his fastball and changeup, his primary and secondary pitches respectfully. I think Crabtree is kind of the guy the Harbor Hawks want on the mound right now to try to break out of this little funk they've been in.
So, Mike, how many innings do you think he'll go today?
I think we have a very real chance of him pitching into the 5th inning tonight. Especially after kind of a short, it was a longer bullpen day than anticipated on Sunday. The Harbor Hawks, used a couple guys early. Mitch Carricker had to use a couple guys a little earlier than he would have liked to. So I think we're going to try, even despite having the day off yesterday, I think we're going to see Thomas Crabtree try to get stretched out a little longer today.
So, I think that's a great plan for the Harbor Hawks. The Harbor Hawks have been great when they've gotten out in front. And the longer your starter goes, the more opportunities you have to get out in front. Get out in front in the 3rd, get out in front in the 4th. Maybe that still does you well. I don't think Hyannis is going to see the same pitcher more than 2 or 3 innings tonight, and I'll tell you why. Noah Franco coming in for the Bourne Braves has only thrown 2 innings so far. Kind of, a couple earned runs, 3 to be exact, 1 hit batter, 2 walks. Not really a great start for him. And I think if I'm looking at, the stats correctly, Bourne does have a very similar pitching staff to Hyannis. They do have bullpen arms. They do have guys they can throw in who will be nasty, who will, live in the zone and will dominate with what they got. I just don't see Noah Franco going into maybe the 4th. Let's say that. I don't see him going in the 4th. I think Bourne's going to go early, and I think that actually helps Hyannis. Hyannis has been a great team when they've been able to bump pitchers early. When they've gotten to guys and really gotten under their skin, they've been so successful. And I think the Hawks could really use a big, how do I say this? I think the Hawks could use to get under a pitcher's skin. I think it's been a while since Hyannis has really gotten into a pitcher, really felt like they were confident what they were seeing, gone 1, 2, 3, 4 hits in a row. It's been a minute. So I think Hyannis could use that. And I think Bourne kind of having a bullpen day, as I'm seeing it today, might be a bit useful.
Well, Matt, something I'll actually say about those stats, which it's funny, all of those came in his last appearance, his only appearance, against the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, which was that 3-run first inning, where Hyannis got on him early. And, the bullpen game did not amount to much for Bourne there. And Harbor Hawks are looking to repeat that in essence.
I think it's funny you mentioned that because that's kind of where I was going there. Hyannis is going to see the same guy. We might see a different Noah Franco tonight. I'm not going to be blunt about that. He's kind of looking for some revenge, I would imagine. But, Mike, in your professional opinion, what can the Hawks do to kind of jump on that again? What can they do to repeat their success?
Yeah, well, I think Yeah, you probably will see a different Noah Franco tonight, and the Hawks this time they have a different lineup tonight than the lineup that got him for 3 runs in the first inning back a few weeks ago. You got Jake Schaffner's leading off today, playing shortstop. I think he's back. He's back recently. Missed a little bit of time. I think he hasn't really had a big performance yet since he's been back. So I think we're due for one of those tonight. Charlie Bates had an encouraging game on Sunday against Brewster. Had a triple, got on base a couple times. He's in there tonight. He's playing third base. Jackson Willits is not in the lineup today. Given they're trying to give him a couple days off. But I think as we get to this halfway point, and I mentioned this on Sunday against Brewster, I think the situation's right. I think we're going to see the bench deployed a little more.
Yes.
And Jackson Willits this past week. A non-base percentage of almost 600, had a 1277 OPS and a home run. Harbor Hawk hitter of the week. If this game's close late, I think there's a very real chance you see Jackson Willits come off the bench today and hit. That's somebody Bourne is obviously going to have to pay attention to. And you got a new face at first base as well. You got Gabe Camacho in there, who Bourne hasn't seen yet. So there's different lineups, some new faces, some returning faces. I think you're probably going to see a different Noah Franco on the mound. He's going to see a different Harbor Hawks team at the plate.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, I think Brewster as a pitching staff has some trends to them that the Harbor Hawks really can lean into tonight. One of which being, and I'm going to say this for his sake, Ray Velasquez, I'm glad you're not in the lineup tonight. 2 hit by pitches last game, took a brutal one off the chest. Guess which team has the most hit batters in Cape Cod Baseball League, tied with Wareham?
Would that be the Bourne Braves?
It would be the Bourne Braves. And so, Ray, you get a day off tonight. You're not going to have to wear a couple. But if Bourne hits batters, Hyannis tends to make them pay, especially because Mitch Carricker loves his aggressive base runners. And he talked about, after the game, that intelligence in the base running and, kind of bringing back that mental aspect to it. He loves the aggressiveness. He just wants them to dial it in a little more. Tim, what does that run game really mean, and what can the Bourne Braves do to prevent that? What can that team do to keep people stranded at first and second?
Well, I think it comes down to a good pitching performance, right? You got to have good communication between you and your catcher. Today, behind the dish, it's going to be Smithwick, who I don't remember if we saw last time.
We're getting the second catcher today.
So it's going to be up to him to manage the base paths today, as good catchers do. I mean, we experienced a great, base running, holding catcher in Vaughn Lackey early in this season. Congratulations to him for making it to Team USA.
Yes, absolutely.
Incredible young catcher there. I'm going to be happy when he gets drafted in the next coming years. But for Smithwick, I mean, we've talked about people who were here last year and how much Hyannis ran last year. I believe that's still in Mitch Carricker's blood to want to send some guys as our third base coach as well. So you definitely got to keep your head on a swivel here if you're the Bourne Braves.
You're also the Bourne Braves. I think one of your big goals today is not to strike out. Hyannis leads the pitching staffs around the Cape in strikeouts. They've done a great job striking guys out, and that's in part to the bullpen. Bullpen's come in and gotten some 2 strikeout innings. They're not really relying on the defense when they come in their first little innings. I definitely think Hyannis is going to have to play good defense today, and we're seeing some different alignments from Hyannis. Could you even dig into that a little, Mike, and how they're going to play better defense than normal today?
Yeah, well, like I already alluded to a couple of minutes ago, no Jackson Willits in the lineup today. But you do have Jake Schaffner at shortstop. He is a middle infielder by trade, so I don't think you're going to see much of a change in production there. Charlie Bates over at third. We've seen the arm strength he has throwing the ball from shortstop. So I think starting naturally a little farther away, it's a little bit of a change, but I don't think with his arm strength it's going to hurt him too much. You got Jeff Luigi in left today, which is a little different. We haven't seen that a ton, but he's already played left this season, and he looked okay for himself. So I think he's a guy that Mitch Carricker believes he can do it back there. And you got Brody Briggs behind the plate as well as a car alarm sounds here in the background.
It is the parking lot preview, everyone.
This is, yeah, but you've got Brody Briggs behind the plate, who can throw out base runners, So the defense, I don't think you have to worry about it a ton tonight, but it is a new alignment tonight, so there might be some growing pains, but overall, I'm confident in the alignment we have.
I don't want to talk too early, guys, and I don't want to speak for anyone else, but it does feel like a different vibe today. It feels like it's not a we must win. It's kind of a let's go out and play good baseball. I think Mitch Carricker did a great job at setting the example in the post-game meeting he gave to the team of, go get some ice cream, go to the beach, We went to the beach, right, guys?
We did go to the
We
beach.
did go to the beach.
Sunburn.
I'm about right.
He's
I'm
all
good.
right.
Sunburn.
Sunburn.
Oh, wow.
You know, the lucky one.
Yeah.
And if we had our producer over here, Sam Montag, that would be.
He's very
he is
sunburned.
cooked.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel I'm the lucky one. But you know, go to the beach, get some ice cream, take some R&R. And I think that's what Mitch Carricker was pushing to the team. I think that's what the team went and did. It feels like everyone's relaxed and ready to go. Start off a new week in the Cape Cod Baseball League. A bit of a shortened week here too, just 5 instead of 6 games, if I'm correct. So we should have, you know, some decent rest times for everybody. Some good baseball out there. I think for one, I'm excited. Mike, you excited?
Absolutely.
Tim, you excited?
Yeah.
Well, let's get into these player of the game predictions
Oh,
and some score predictions. Mike, what do you got for me?
Yeah, you know, I just talked about him a couple minutes ago. Jeff Lugie.
Luge.
Yeah, I really like what I've seen from him
Great.
in the short time that he's been with the team so far. You know, against Brewster on Sunday, you know, overall it wasn't a great day for the offense, but it was a solid day for Jeff Lugie. He had the bases loaded in the 6th inning, cleared the bases with a double to the left field wall. You know, he's really had a solid day. He's made some spectacular plays defensively. He made a leaping play against Brewster on Sunday at second base. Did it earlier in the couple games before that as well. You know, we've seen some good stuff from Jeff Lugie so far. So I like him as my player of the game. You know, I've picked him before. I'm going to pick him this time. I'm gonna ride the Jeff Lugie train here. Final score, you know, I think this is going to be a close game. But I think the off day is going to favor Hyannis more than it's favoring Bourne, because I think our guys really needed it. And you know, like you said, they look more relaxed today. It just feels like it's a much different vibe today. So give me a 6-4 Hyannis victory.
You went right under the leg. Tim, what do you got? I got to think of something there.
Well, if he went right under you, then I'm going to go right at you. Because I'll go with a 5-3 win for Hyannis.
Okay, we're good.
You're all right? We're all right? Okay. Well, again, I think it's going to be a very close game. Hyannis has been struggling in this last week, and Bourne is definitely a hungry team coming in here. But give me a difference maker in Matt Mura. Matt Mura, he's been one of the more consistent players in this Hyannis lineup.
Tonight. He's going to have these well-rested legs, and he's going to be moving like the Flash. He's so quick. Stole my pick,
honestly,
man. Let me pick a new guy now. You're just like you guys have really made this one tough.
Fine. You want me to choose a new one?
No, you take Mira. I'll take somebody else.
No, because
finish your prediction.
Okay.
It's okay. Whatever.
Fine. I was trying to give you the opportunity.
No, it's fine.
No,
it's good.
But I know that Matt Mira is going to have 3 RBIs tonight.
Yeah, he is.
I know that. I think we all know that, and that's why any other player of the game pick is just kind of silly. So give me Matt Mira, player of the game, a 5-3 victory for Hyannis.
This has made this real hard for me, guys, but I'm going to have to take a quick swing at this. Give me Sawyer Black. Let me talk about why. He's playing right today in the right field spot at McKeon Park. Just seems to have a little energy to it. Andrew Williamson's, sucked up some of that energy. Had a really great game in his last game as a Hawk. Go check out a feature story on the website about that. Really good stuff.
Written by Tym Brown.
Hi, I'm Tym Brown. I wrote that.
So I really like what the right field position is doing to these guys, and I especially like what Sawyer Black's been doing. He's been having competitive at-bats. He's been getting hits where it counts. And today he's hitting in the 5-hole playing right field. Nothing feels better to me than that, except for Matt Mura DHing, apparently, which just got stolen off my brim. You know what? It's fine. It's okay. I like Sawyer Black. He's going to pop off. You're all going to see. And my score prediction tonight, I'm going to stick with what I was going to go with, 7-4.
Okay.
I think Bourne's going to get 4, but I think Hyannis is going to get out early. They're going to stall a little bit in the middle innings, get something going towards the end, and we'll see that lead really stretch towards the end.
We thinking a Ryan Speciak save tonight?
I would love a Ryan Speciak save. There's nothing that makes me happier than a Ryan Speciak save. Tim, any wild predictions for today? Any special little things we got?
Well, I think, although this goes against our team, Logan Hughes for the Bourne Braves has an insane OPS on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays?
On Tuesdays.
So what's
in fact,
it
is a Tuesday today. Very much is Tuesday. And he has a 1692 OPS. So I will make a declaration.
Okay.
Logan Hughes sails the ocean blue fence with his 1692 OPS.
You're kidding me.
No, Tim. For those baseball fans out there that might not understand OPS exactly, can you explain what that is and why that's so miraculous?
Well, Matthew, that would be on base plus slugging percentage. So that is the percentage of the time the guy gets on base per his at-bats or plate appearances? At-bats. And then slugging percentage, well, it's how many bases basically divided by the total number of at-bats.
Means you're hitting the ball really good and you're getting on base a lot.
It's a great measure of power and a great measure of how good a guy is at getting on base, but a 1692 is unheard of.
It's pretty unheard of. Did I do this to myself?
Amazing.
I think you did.
I think you did.
You did.
Well,
You turned on the nerd voice, Matt. You
I guess
can't
I
just
did.
do that.
We need to pack the house tonight, guys. Let's start with that. I think
Yes,
McKeon
we
Park
do.
needs to be full on a Tuesday. I know you're still here from the 4th. I know you're still enjoying the sun. It was a hot one out here. Come on out as it gets a little colder. Cheer on the Hawks. Give me a Jeff Lugie. Give me some loud cheers for the guys. And last of all, got to give the big one.
Go Hawks!